So, where will the executive MBA take you in the world? And who will be joining you in that EMBA classroom? Now, when you launch the first executive MBA from a top-ranked US business school in the UAE and the MENA region, it's going to be something special and it's going to attract top talent from across the region. And it's going to take you places with great regional knowledge, modules in New York and Shanghai. In the past few days, NYU Abu Dhabi has announced the launch of the Stern Executive MBA Abu Dhabi. And at Centre Court, we are excited to welcome the architects behind the new program and the talent, the sort of talent that Stern attracts to the EMBA classroom. It's my pleasure to welcome Tamer El-Raghi. Tamer, with his PhD in engineering, he did the executive MBA at NYU Stern. He's had a fascinating career with Cargill, head of PE for agri and food, and in the past 6 years is the managing director of Acumen Resilient Agriculture Fund in Kenya. You never know who is going to be sitting next to you in a Stern EMBA classroom. And with him, Arnold, I call him Arnie Longboy, the executive director of admissions of the program. I've known Arnie for 2 decades. He has built some of the most impactful executive education portfolios at top US and international schools. He was the chair of the EMBA Council. He's such a natural industry leader to now bring the Stern Exec MBA to Abu Dhabi. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for joining us at Centre Court. And Arnie, this blank canvas, an extraordinary, your own vision 2030 for the GCC region. But tell us a little bit about this project and the executive MBA program that Stern is launching.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Matt, for having us. What a very generous introduction there. And it's amazing how we do go back 20 years. But so I moved to Abu Dhabi now 2 years ago because what we first started off was a full-time MBA, which itself is the only 1 year full-time MBA being offered by a top US business school. And so it was the inspiration, actually, the inspiration to set up a business school started off probably more than 15 years ago with the establishment of NYU undergraduate program in the UAE. But from the beginning, I think, those that have influence or those that follow the school as well as business education and what business education can do really wanted Stern to also establish a program from the start. But then things got in the way. COVID was a big thing as well, getting in the middle of that. And then finally, 2 years ago, I moved and we launched our full-time MBA. So the executive MBA is, as you mentioned, is a new one yet. It hasn't started, but will be starting in 2 years' time in the fall of 2026. But what really kind of inspired Stern establishing a program here is really where we are. Like the way Stern describes their programs or the programs in New York, being in and of New York City, Stern at NYU Abu Dhabi is really about being in and of the UAE and Abu Dhabi as well. And if you know anything about Abu Dhabi and UAE, you know it's built a lot of the wealth from oil, but now has been really over the last few years and in the future really trying to diversify away from an oil-based economy, making one more service and knowledge-based. So it's investing a lot into what you would call, many people would call the future industry, right? Something tech is being interested, AI, finance is being built here. And so when we talk to companies and when we talk to government officials about, what do you need to get there? They keep saying, and they said, we need good managerial talent. And so hence the inspiration for the full-time MBA, but also now for the executive MBA program, which targets a different audience, more established talent, and those that can continue to work in their jobs, but also then pursue this degree. It's really about providing a talent pool that the country and the companies need to reach their goals, like you said, 2030 country 2030 plan. We're there in terms of trying to develop a future leadership cohort that not only has the global mindset that we at Stern try to instill, but also then has the local context to help drive things within the region.
Right. When you think of that iconic location, Arnold, in Union Square and sort of owning downtown New York, as you then think about putting down those deep roots in Abu Dhabi, of course, you bring the best with you, but as you say, you're really then looking to adapt to this local regional market, that demand for talented managers, and provide something that's truly tailored to the experience of the MENA region.
Yes, yes, we are. And so what we've done is we are actually, this is not going to be a fly in, fly out program as some of the programs that are around us, meaning that we've hired faculty who are interested and committed to, creating relationships with the companies, already have relationships with a lot of companies, creating research that is going to be very relevant to this region as well, that can also be then taken outside the region and be of value to global companies, that aren't necessarily familiar with the region, but want to take advantage of the opportunities that are here and that are going to be in the future.
Right. Now, Tamara, I could have introduced you as Dr. Al-Raghi. There you are with your PhD in engineering. And then on top of it, you said, you know what? I want to go back to business school. So talk us through, your own decision, what inspired you to pursue an executive MBA, and of course, the choice of NYU Stern.
Sure. And first of all, Matt, I never go with doctor. So it's Tamer
Ah,
is very fine. I never use it. I almost forgot that I have a PhD in engineering. Almost. And you start by saying that you and Arnie go back 2 decades ago. And actually, that's exactly when I joined Stern. And it all started a bit more than 20 years ago when I was thinking about what to do next. 5 years earlier or 6 years earlier, I had decided to quit my academic career, even though I was doing fairly well, published in Nature, Science, etc. But I found that, I have this urge to be an entrepreneur. And so I said, you know what? Let me quit, try to commercialize the technology that was part of my PhD and research. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back to that life. And I never did. Uh, Started a company commercializing a technology. And then at one point, it was time for, okay, what's next? And I thought, you know what, there is a lot of knowledge that goes behind, entrepreneurship and investments. And I'm learning by doing. I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years at that time. I said, time to go back to school, right? No, you're never too old to go back to school. I always like to learn, and if you're the moment I stop learning is the moment I hope it's my last moment on this beautiful place. And so at that time, we lived close to Philadelphia. So, where should I go? And I had a decent network in Philly. Uh, so I said, you know what? In New York, I don't have a network in New York. So you have two options if you want to build a network in New York: NYU Stern or Columbia. I said, okay, let me have an open mind and go and attend a class or two at each one of them. And I'm telling you, the moment I set a foot into that classroom in Stern, I said, this is where I belong. It was a different vibe. I don't know how to explain, but I just fell in love with it. It was love, as they say, love from first sight. It was less formal, more cozy, yet very dynamic. If you, and The students were so engaged in the classroom. I'm not saying in Columbia they're less engaged, but Columbia is an Ivy League, so it gives you the Ivy League's vibe. This one was
mm,
different. So this is where I belong. And gosh, every time I think about that decision, I think my wife and I, when we talk about it, we believe that it was one of the best decisions we ever made in our life, impacting our family and impacting me personally.
mm.
This is
Yeah,
how I made the decision.
electrifying. Yeah, it's like you say, sometimes hard to put words to it, but you know it when you feel it, and you clearly did. I just want to touch on Araf and what it stands for, because there are two words in there already, the Agriculture Fund, but acumen and resilience. Are those qualities that are a parallel for the sort of characteristics that enable you to thrive and flourish in the Stern Ember?
I have to say it was not an easy journey, okay? And when you start at an MBA and you already have a PhD in engineering and a master's in engineering, you think, yeah, I can get that, right? It must, I'm sure it's not rocket science. And gosh, it was tough. I'm telling you, the first class was an accounting class, and I remember the first midterm, I got 70 out of 100. And I was not used to those kind of grades, you can tell. And I'm a nerd. Yeah, I'm a nerd and proud. And getting 70 out of 100 was not easy to take. So I actually went to the professor and I talked to him. And he laughed and he said, "Are you an engineer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, yeah, that's normal for engineers. They usually don't get it at the beginning, but trust me, you'll do well." And he was spot on. I put the time, the effort. Maybe it's resilience, as you said. But gosh, once I got it, it was an amazing, amazing learning experience. And
Mm.
who would have thought that I'll be a fund manager one day who can easily navigate financial statements? Uh,
Right.
I didn't think so after getting 70 out of 100 in my accounting exam.
Now, that amazing learning experience, Arnie, and thinking about how you're going to adapt it to Abu Dhabi and the MENA region. So, your thoughts for the class of the fall of 2026, the class size that you'd like to bring together, how they would then be able to take electives and really personalize the experience. So, what is the shape of the program that you have in mind?
Yeah, so just building upon what Tamara said as well there in terms of the vibe of his classmates. We really are mission and values very much an extension of the Stern programs in New York as well. A core value that I really connected with when I joined the school was this core value of IQ plus EQ.
Mm.
And I am really seeing that the EQ part, especially in a lot of the alumni I talk to from other programs, and that is what we're really kind of anchoring to when we're going to be admitting students and future alumni of our program as well. So a lot of what we're doing is going to be basically just riffing off of what's been very successful in New York, curriculum wise. The maybe fewer specializations, but curriculum wise, the credits that are needed to graduate, they're all going to be the same. What's going to be different, and class size too, to answer your question, we're looking probably to have about 40 to 50 within a cohort that starts. Don't know what that will be until we actually get there, as I said. And most of the students will probably be from the region. But we are also going to be marketing globally and targeting those that see the opportunities that they can take advantage of by studying and building their network with people who are leading some companies or building some companies here in the region that are also going to be their classmates. So it's a great mix of kind of those stern core values that have made the programs in New York thrive, and combining it again with the kind of regional student body that we'll get, and also those that are really interested in learning more about the region.
Right. Now, 20 years later, tomorrow, we're still talking about that 70 out of 100 on the first accounting test. But Arnie talks about this correlation of IQ and EQ. As you look at the world and the possible impact of AI and everything else, do you think that that EQ piece and the implicit sort of soft skills of leadership that emerge from that, is that where you see the real value of the learning experience of the EMBA?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. Even 20 years ago, before AI became a thing, but I think you and I are old enough to remember the movie AI, right? Steven Spielberg. So it's not really new, but I remember the first class we had at Stern. Our professor told us he said, "You know what? You'll be learning more from your colleagues in this classroom more than you'll be learning from the books, right?" And man, he was absolutely right. It was those classroom discussions. It was so stimulating, and you look around you, and the intellectual power around you is just humbling, and you keep learning from your colleagues and in the classroom. And I cannot underestimate how much I learned from my classmates and from those discussions. Uh, and and of course, before going to business school, usually at engineering school, you appreciate more the IQ than the EQ. But uh, coming out of business school, I learned a lot, and I learned that EQ is as important, if not even more important, than IQ.
Hmm.
So
Right.
definitely
And,
agree.
and And the format of the exec MBA, because as I think subsequently at Cargill, private equity, your role now with Araf, and just talking about the entrepreneurial mindset that was emerging in you, how powerful was it to be able to then take that learning from the classroom and apply it on Monday morning in a professional setting?
Oh gosh, all I can tell you is that Stern education properly prepare you for the real world. Like you can hit the ground running and have an intellectual discussion about companies valuation as if you have been doing it for ages. And this is like, you know, firsthand experience. And of course, I'm not even talking yet about the value of your network and how it opens doors, etc. But the quality of the education, the quality again of the assignments, the quality of the projects, the it's it just I cannot overstate how it influenced how I work even till today. Uh, you know, the concept of case studies, we didn't have that in engineering school. We had other things in engineering school, but not that kind of education. And Stern remains to be one of the best institutions in the world that can prepare you with such a degree. I went for an EMBA because I was working at that time. I was running my startup, and I went to Stern, and I wanted a program that I can do over the weekend. One thing that people mistake a lot is that the load will be less in an EMBA than a regular MBA. And I remember our strategy professor said, if you think this way, this is the wrong place for you. Because as a matter of fact, I expect more from you than from the average typical MBA program student, because you come to this class with a lot of experience, a lot of years of experience. So I expect more. And he was right. You could see that, extra from the discussions from people who've been working in Wall Street for 10 years, for instance, or management consulting, et cetera, et cetera. So I can keep talking about the class experience forever. Every time I remember, just your background brings a lot of great memories, man.
Yeah. As we think, Arnie, about those expectations of the faculty, we're going to expect you to really, work hard. That level of purpose and intentionality. There are so many things that we could do to upskill. I could take an online course in AI, whatever it might be. But do you think that there's something very special about that executive MBA format of 40 or 50 talented, diverse individuals all coming together that makes the EMBA so powerful?
Definitely. And what you also, as part of the admissions process, you're also trying to curate a class that wants to get together and believes in, the value that is going to be derived from getting together. So that again is the IQ plus EQ that we really stand on. So one, we're trying to curate a class where people value that, because not everyone does, as you know. They could actually go, and many of them will end up just can do study alone, but they are valuing the collaboration, the interaction, and to Tamara's point again about what you learn in the program. One of the features of this program is going to be what we call Stern projects, signature projects, where you can actually pick a topic, a real topic from your company, and work with a group to try and come up with a solution. So very hands-on, practical learning in addition to the theory, which we think is also, is needed for a solid foundation.
Right. And presumably those projects, Arnie, will have that constant context. As you say, this is the MENA region, this is Abu Dhabi. So with the
Mhm.
diversification of the economy, services, the knowledge industry and other areas, to really think about that within the context of the GCC and problems, challenges that might be specific to Abu Dhabi and the rest of the region.
Exactly, exactly. And I can't emphasize enough, the learning that you would get from your classmates as well, as Tamara mentioned. And just think about that group that you'll be forming as a student trying to address a problem where you're going to have maybe, someone who is already a chief accountant, and brings that skill set to someone who's launched a product, which, maybe is something that you're trying to do within your own company as well. Yeah, learning a lot from the faculty, as we know too, but learning just as much, if sometimes not more, from the other experts in the classroom.
Yeah, based on your advice, Tamer, I think that the first classmate I'm going to look for is that ex-chief accountant, just to prepare me for that first accounting exam. But with that focus, the diversity of voices and insight and experience, there's time for fun too, right? Because you're creating this, powerful and very supportive network. So clubs and other activities that really build such a strong network.
Oh yeah, I can say that I had a lot of fun during that program. No doubt about it. We remember Stern being, next to Washington Square and the Village, etc. Yes, we would stay late at night on Friday, doing our homeworks, preparing for our homeworks, uh, and then Saturday as well. But then after we're done, we always go out, have fun, get to know each other, and I still in touch with a lot of my classmates till today, and that's again that's the real value in this program. It's those, not only what you learn, but also the relationships, the network you build. One cannot overstate that. And I think one thing that Stern also, uh, you know encourages is, as much as you work hard, you also have to play hard.
Mm,
Because I think again, it comes with this vibe I was talking about. Yeah, and also sometimes it's having fun in a competitive way. I remember at the end of each year there was a competition, like a capstone kind of project where we compete on strategy and develop a strategy for a company. And the winning team, I remember the first year, the winning team, because we were the winning team, we got a gift card that I went to the bookstore and I bought some stuff, including a jumper with Stern on it. And I'm telling you, till today, I'm fighting with my wife why I hadn't gotten rid of it, even though it's like not in a great shape. But that was part of the fun also. So no, I actually envy, Arnie. I envy those 50 or 60 students of yours, the first cohort, and so forth, because they will be doing it out of Abu Dhabi, and they will have the opportunity to experience this region. I'm from Egypt, so I know how the UAE is evolving, and so I envy them being part of what's happening and what's cooking in the region.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Tamer,
most.
yeah,
Mhm.
please, Ali, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. Most of the program will be in Abu Dhabi with the weekends especially, but they're also going to have a chance to do 1 week at our Shanghai campus and also get to experience Washington Square when they're there for a week as well. It's like it's almost like the best of all worlds right there.
Yeah. There's
Arnie, but I
Tamer.
assume you mean Stern next to the square, not the square itself, right? Because some people may
Yeah.
misunderstand that.
Yes, exactly.
So perhaps Tamer, it's a great opportunity because understandably it's a significant investment, time and finances. Um, and understandably, people want to think about, well, what are the immediate outcomes? As you look at this over, a 15, 20-year period, do you see how the return on that investment that you've made just continues to give?
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a big mistake when people only look at the financial return, which is there, okay? So the financial return is there for sure. But if you factor in the return on how the personality evolves, how the way you would look at the world evolves. We were 13 nationalities in our class, and we were a class of 65. So you can imagine, right? So the return definitely, it was worth it financially. It was worth investing the time and effort, no doubt about it. And even it was worth it because the advice you get from those professors, just world class, man. I
Mm,
remember talking to one of our professors, and he said, "You know what? You have to go and find an internship at a VC fund." And I said, like, "Man, I don't have the time." And he said, "Trust me, trust me. If you do it, you will see the impact." And I did that, and a 2 months internship ended into a six months internship at that fund. And it opened my eyes to this whole world and how things are done. So when I left Stern, I have to say, at some levels, at different levels, I was a different person, for sure.
mm, mm. Right. Now, Arnie, I always feel that the exec MBA, of course, there are early career specialized masters, the full-time MBA for perhaps individuals with 4, 6, 8 years of professional experience. But the exec MBA is at a very interesting transitional moment. You might be thinking of starting your own business, as Tamara had considered, maybe even an industry switch. We've talked about all of those opportunities across the Gulf region. So how will you accompany the Stern EMBA students to be able to open new doors and explore new opportunities at just the right moment for them?
That'll be through a number of ways, Matt. One is, they'll be taking subjects that they'd never been exposed to before. So opening their eyes to new opportunities and new ideas from the coursework that they're getting. Again, also talking to their classmates and getting the fresh perspectives as well there. And something I've seen now over the last 20 years, they will also be getting what we would call career development support. They'll have a dedicated careers team. I'm not on trying to get them that entry level job at a consulting firm like our full-time MBAs are looking for, but working with the coaches on our team to map out how they can grow within their company or deal with some of the leadership challenges that they may be facing within their career at this moment. I'm not sure if I answered your question, Matt, if I actually heard it correctly or
It
not.
is, yeah, no, because I think, if you go back
Mhm.
20, 30 years, it was sort of, right, this is, heading to the C-suite within an organization that might be supporting me. And so many others are now using the exec MBA to make a transition. So that level of career support and, really being able to work with coaches to think about the right next steps for you, it seems such a
Exactly.
piece.
And it's become a key feature of a lot of EMBA programs now. Whereas in the past, we never would have offered that because thinking that companies would handle all of the non-academic aspects of being an executive, whereas now it becomes a key feature of executive MBA programs.
Right. So, Tamara, it's lovely to witness the enthusiasm just talking about the Stern experience. Perhaps my final question for you, if you were to go back and speak to yourself as you began the program, um, the advice that you'd give yourself in enjoying that moment, there you are, you're juggling, starting a new business, family, you had your wife's support, now the studies. What advice would you give to viewers, both in terms of making that investment in themselves and really making the most of it?
I would, if I would go and talk to myself 20 years ago, I would say, don't be intimidated by the first couple of classes. That's okay. They're tough. You're getting used to, a professor asking you to read a book and discuss it the following lecture. That's okay. Don't be intimidated. Uh, as usual, put 110% and uh, and it will be okay. And I think if I tell this to myself 20 years ago, I think I'll get even more out of the program because the first two classes were tough, man. Trust me.
If you could do it all over again, would you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Uh, uh, and actually, I remember when we took our kids to Stern at that time, 20 years ago, uh, both of them said, you know what, one day we want to end up in this school. Our son got admitted in Stern, and then he decided to go for an inferior school called Cornell, which is okay. Uh, But no, as I said, the impact of Stern is cannot be overstated on me personally and our family.
Right. Well, I don't know if Arnie and I will still be around to welcome him to the EMBA at Stern in Abu Dhabi when that time comes, but I'm sure he's
There you go.
enjoying his undergrad right now.
Exactly.
Arnie, with viewers that are watching this live, that are catching this on Poets and Quants YouTube channel, the excitement of this project, it's palpable. So next steps, finding out more about the program, connecting with you and your team. What are some of those different contact points that they'll be able to explore with you?
Yeah, hopefully after this, people will have a chance to see all the links. But if you're Googling Stern at NYU Abu Dhabi is a quick way to get to our website. Otherwise, Another way to get a hold of us is via email, and the email address is emba.admissions@sternad.nyu.edu.
We'll make sure that
It's a long
if
one.
nobody had a pen or
Yeah.
pencil or a voice memo, we'll make
But
sure they get those details.
Google Stern at NYU Abu Dhabi, and you'll get right to us, and you'll then see all the contact information and be able to contact anyone on the team as well as myself. I'm happy to talk to people who are interested in either one of our programs. As Matt mentioned at the beginning, doing this now for 20 years. And, it's about counseling you on what the best program is for you as well, not just trying to get you into this one. And who is this program for? It's for those who really see the opportunity in the UAE, in the MENA region, and actually want to be studying on Saadiyat Island, which translates into Island of Happiness. How could it be better than that?
That's at the top of the EQ scale, I think, and perhaps coming to the campus just to get a sense of Stern within the region, and Tamara mentioned auditing the classes, and that was a magical moment for him. Just what he felt. So certainly with all those palm trees and the perfect weather behind you, that's going to be irresistible. But you've always been this extraordinary ambassador for the industry, Arnie. I'm so excited that Stern has you at the head of the Exec MBA project, and Tamara,
Too kind.
just the passion and the energy is jumps off this screen, and I think when we think about Centre Court and helping people with their own personal, professional development, next choices, to be able to witness that is priceless. So thank you for both of you for your time and for joining us at Centre Court. It was an absolute pleasure.